There we go. It's that awkward, like, oh, there we go. We got this. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is a very exciting topic for me. I'm so excited that we get to do this together. We are combining with Sipla. This is a joint in Jeff Ed that we're doing this evening on Jeff, but also on Sipla this evening. So hi to everybody that's looking from that side. And Dr. Suresh Vassen, nice to have you with us again. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me see quickly where we are and making sure that we say hi to some people. So as we say, if you're listening from the Sipla side, you might not know this, but we say swipe in. So say hi and swipe in and let us know that you're here, like you're swiping into the gym. So I'm just checking who is here with us. We've got quite a few people that have joined us already. Hi, guys. Pop in and show us your names over here so we can say hi to you. And we are going to be over on the Jeff Together page, Jeff Life, but I'm checking for comments over on the Jeff page. So let me know if you're here. Hi, hello everyone, nice to see you. Let me just see quickly here. And over on this side, fantastic. Hi, Disha, nice to see you. Welcome this evening. Hello, everyone. Awesome. All right, we've got quite a few people that have joined us very quickly. So people are excited about this topic. And I think the timing of it is quite appropriate, being that it is Women's Month. This is not just a topic for women, but I think that I'm excited about women's health and how mental health ties into that it's not just about the physical, but the holistic being. And so especially after, if you're listening from South Africa, the month that we've had in South Africa, I saw somewhere that someone said, you know, what a year this month has been. And I think that summarizes how a lot of us are feeling. It's been a very tough, exhausting, draining, mentally draining time. And so our topic tonight is very appropriate. And so we're talking about mindfulness and just general health, mind health, and how that affects us physically with Dr. Vassen. So hi, Iva. Auntie Iva is over there as well. Nice to see you. So yeah, so I think before we waste too much time, I want to get into our topic and for us to chat. If you're still swiping in, say hi. Hi, Amy. Nice to see you. Hi, Roz. Nice to see you. I'm going to hand over to you so you can do a little bit of an intro. For those of you who missed our previous Jeff Ed with Dr. Vassen, and he said that I must call him Suresh by his first name, just so that we can be casual here. But I do want to honor you for your title because it is, it's a worthy title to carry around. So Dr. Vassen, from now on, Suresh, please tell us a little bit more about who you are so that people can get to know you and why we're chatting about this topic tonight.
Thank you, Tash, and thank you for having me. And thanks to Jeff E-Fitness Facility as well as Sipla Pharmaceuticals. So I started off as a normal medical student at UCT and totally oblivious of anything that is integrative or complementary. And once I started, I qualified and started implementing yoga practice, breath work, and of course meditation practices in a very regular way, and that opened up my mind and heart to all systems of healing, and hence we are here now. And my role as a healer is to inspire the healer within everybody else, because we are all healers in latent form, and if we can just amplify the healing response in each of us, we become one collective healing phenomenon. So that is my role at the moment, to speak and to listen and to inspire the hearts, not just the mind, of every human being, particularly in our country, South Africa, which is going through great change, but change for the better, I'm sure.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. Absolutely. And I can so resonate with a lot what you said there as well. And wanting to, from the Jeff side, it's so important for us to recognize and realize that health is not just a physical change. It has to happen in your mind. And a lot of what we do on this journey is healing. It's healing from our past understanding. It's healing from our past ways of living, and actually finding a new way to live a holistically healthy lifestyle. So I think it's beautiful, and it ties in so nicely. So yeah. All right.
And
So
the
I'm
good
gonna
news, Tash,
go.
is that we need to just work on our bodies. Not necessarily the word work, but pay attention to physical well-being and
Yes.
everything that includes that, in order to experience mental, psychological,
Right.
and emotional well-being.
Right.
So that's good, because Jeff is a great platform for that. And we need to use the instrument of the body and then the technology of the mind and software of the brain, in order to be fully healthy in a holistic way. So
Absolutely.
physical
I love
well-being
that.
first,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. And so much of our physical well-being gets sabotaged by our negative thinking as well. So and anxious thoughts. So on that, the topic of mindfulness. So we it's distinguishing between mindful and mindfulness. So yeah, why don't you go straight into it and help us understand a little bit, because it's something that people throw around so often, but it's not something that we actually practice. So in
Mm.
your experience and in your best practices for everyday living, how do we implement mindfulness?
Remember that the nature of the human brain or human mind is to be mindful. Whatever we're doing, we're putting some degree of mindfulness into it, but more often subconsciously or unconsciously. So be mindful and practice mindfulness with more finesse, with more style, with more grace, with more poise, by engaging in activities of mindfulness,
Mm.
setting aside a few times a day of actively being mindful on a particular thing or activity. And what's better than anything is to be presently mindful on the present moment, because most of the time our minds are rooted in the past, memory, and we worry about the future. And the memory desire of the future is the web that we imprison ourselves. And we can't get out of it unless we actively engage in present moment focused awareness. It could be sipping your cup of coffee. It could be just sitting and being mindful that you are seated. If you're standing in a queue, be mindful of your breath. If you're looking at a beautiful view, be mindful of the beauty in the mountain. Be mindful of everything right now. And that's a good start to start practicing mindfulness. And of course, mindfulness is just the beginning stage of true experience of meditation, but it's necessary stage. Single point focused awareness is what mindfulness it truly is. And if we practice, implement it in our daily routine, we will reap the benefits of it. Less and less of the past will affect us. Less and less worried about the future or desiring for the future. More present. And that has a whole cascade of responses to our physical well being, to our biochemistry, our cells, our digestion, our cardiovascular system, our respiratory rate, and in totality, the entire mind body unit benefits from the practice of mindfulness, which is the beginning.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And how do we distinguish between mindful and mindfulness?
Okay, so mindfulness is as I said, the beginning stages of allowing the mind to experience alpha brainwave coherence. So it's the experience of meditation physiologically. being mindful can be, it's always on something in particular that's in the past or the future. But mindfulness is an experience. It
Mm.
becomes an effortless experience once you practice regularly. It is it is allowing the mind to become restfully alert. So you're more awake than as we are sitting here. At the
Right.
moment, we seem to be awake, but we are so cluttered with thoughts and
Like my dog
conversation
wants, and I'm
that
trying
we
to
are
like block it out.
exactly. We're experiencing a daydream. At night when
Yeah.
we sleep, it's a night dream.
Yeah.
And we are to be fully awake is to start the practice of mindfulness.
Mm.
And it's much more fine-tuned than just being mindful, which
Mm.
is a very general experience.
Mm.
So one should actively engage in mindfulness practices, and there are many. You could focus on a flame of light.
Mm.
You can focus on your breath. You can focus on scanning your body. You can do some guided meditation.
Mm.
You can focus on sounds, which we call mantra, or an affirmation, or an idea that is nature supporting or life supporting. And the more we repeat that idea or concept or word or sound or guided meditation, the more the brain starts entraining. And this is the whole science of entrainment.
Mm.
We become more and more present moment aware, less and less time bound, and more timeless awareness.
Mm.
We remember time is a mind made phenomenon. For
Mm-hmm.
some of us, time goes very quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
for others, time goes very fast, very
Slow.
slowly, depending
Yeah.
on the experience.
Right, right, right.
And
We say in
the-
Jeff, if you think a minute is short, wait until you do a plank for that time.
absolutely. And if you're sitting in the waiting room of your
Yeah,
dentist, time goes very slowly as well.
yeah, exactly.
So to become timeless in our awareness is what the goal of mindfulness and
Mm.
meditation is.
Uh-huh.
And it's very easy to get there because our real nature is silent,
Mm.
timeless, pure being, pure love, um, completely. It's there. We don't have to look for it, and
Mm.
we can go and we can talk about it a bit later in more detail. But definitely start off with mindfulness practices as a part of a daily routine
Mm.
implemented. Whether it's a minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 or 15 minutes, start. I tell
Mm.
all my COVID patients,
Mm.
there were almost about 400 COVID positive patients sitting in front of me in my room. And I tell them one thing. I tell them every half an hour, take 60 seconds of focusing on measured deep breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Focusing just on deep breathing for
Mm.
60 seconds. Be mindful of your breath. Three
Mm.
to 5 seconds in breath,
Mm.
pause, 3 to 5 seconds out breath. And that was the only thing that allowed them to stop panicking.
Mm.
It was miraculous. I
Mm.
saw it in practice. And once they started reducing their fear and their stress response to the idea of COVID, they
Mm.
did very well in the
Mm.
comfort of their homes. So
Good.
good practice, even if it's a minute every half an hour or hour, it's good to do. I
Mm.
taught children to look at their thumbnail arm's length away for 12 seconds every hour.
Wow,
So
that's
that if even adults practice that, that
yeah,
is the great start to
yeah.
mindfulness experience, and that is a precursor to the meditative experience. Okay,
Mm.
so all methodologies and teachings of meditation begins with mindfulness.
Mm.
As I
Exactly.
said, whether it's on breath, or whether it's on a sound, a
Mm.
mantra, or an idea, or
Mm.
guided meditation, it's mindfulness.
Mm.
You first start to be mindful, and then you experience the experience of mindfulness, which
Mm.
is concentration, but of course, one releases the need to concentrate
Mm.
eventually. because the mind goes from 5,000 thoughts as we wake up. And the whole goal of mindfulness is to experience fewer and fewer thoughts until the gap between two thoughts is widened and we automatically, spontaneously slip into the silent gap between two thoughts, which happens quite spontaneously without even us rationalizing about it. And we only know that we're in the gap when we look back and say, oh, where was I? And that's the meditative experience. All teachings and all techniques of meditation has that one common goal, to slip in naturally into the silent gap between two separate thoughts.
Wow. I love
And
that.
that happens very spontaneously. We don't have to struggle, we don't have to strain. Initially, lots of thoughts will well up because that's what we are releasing, and that's a good sign that it's working. And eventually, with practice, regular practice, we will experience pure silence, which is the gap in the gap between two thoughts. And that is the corridor to our higher self. The gap between two thoughts is the vortex, the corridor to pure love, to the sublime states of the mind, loving kindness, spontaneity of compassion and empathy, and gratitude. Gratitude comes very naturally when we are in pure silence. We don't have to struggle to know what we are grateful for. It starts there. But once we experience pure silence, which is also the experience of pure love, because silence, as Rumi says, is the language of the divine, the language of God is pure silence. And once we experience enough of our natural state, which is pure silence, as you're sitting here, you're listening to me, but pay attention to the silent being that's listening to me. There's a presence. That is the real you. And it's there all the time. It is timeless. It is beyond space and time. It is changeless. It has no beginning. It has no end. And it's right there with us. And we can use different techniques to experience it, but it's right there. At the beginning of, if I say to you now, Tash, be silent. So for the first few seconds, you are completely silent. And then the thoughts come. That initial silence is the silence that is ever present in the gap between two thoughts. And that's where we access our inner pharmacy. That's where we modulate and develop a resilient immune system. Immune cells are nothing else but circulating brain cells. They feel they everything that a brain cell experiences. Maybe not in the English language, but immune cells are benefited by experiencing a pure, quiet mind. And it's the time for that now. Humanity has been through so many calamities, and COVID is just another one. Terrorism, as we mentioned before, poverty, ecosystem disruption, wars upon wars, civil violence, gangsterism, many calamities that we think we sort of we trivialize it because we forget about it in the past. But it's time now to engage in practices of an evolved human being, an evolved human mind.
That's right.
And only through an evolved mind of innocence and humility and wonder of the real nature of who we are can we start being inspired by our heart. When the mind is cluttered with analysis and rationalizing and over thinking and over interpretation, which leads to grievances and complaints, judgment, jealousy, and competitiveness, we're never going to experience the true human heart.
That's it. Yeah.
But when the mind is still, the heart automatically blossoms.
Mm.
It's as simple as that. We
Right.
have to do nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, it goes back to, you said the evolved mind, and that's exactly what I was thinking this whole time, is our 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 way of functioning in this time of, excuse the motorbike, our way of functioning in this time of constant stress and anxiety, and we're all living in a constant societal anxiety. It pushes us into our primitive brain and our primitive functioning, which is that jealousy, anger, like all the primitive emotions and feelings, where the higher function is our higher developed, more evolved brain, and those are the more beautiful and healthier feelings to actually feel overall. So yeah, being aware of that is our first step, and taking that first step of awareness is amazing and incredible. So I feel
Mhm.
like we've talked for 20 minutes on the first question, and I still have a few that I want to ask you. I'm trying to be so present and mindful here, not rush us, hey. But yeah, I think the practice of gratitude we wanted to touch on as well, and how important it is then, from those anxious thoughts, the primitive thoughts, to then the higher functioning, and helping us to be more evolved in the way that we're thinking and using our thoughts in our brain. So yeah, I want to let you speak a little bit about how you find that practice of gratitude influences our physical then as a result.
When we remind ourselves what we are grateful for, it's quite simple. It's easy. There's always something that we can be grateful for,
Right.
no matter what the circumstance.
Exactly.
And the mere practice of and remembering of gratitude, it completely cancels out any form of hostility. There's no need for any hostility or revenge or getting back at somebody or the world, feeling a whole host of grievances and complaints. That all fall away quite automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude allows us to feel a sense of fulfillment as a
Mm-hmm.
human being. We feel fulfilled and satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
And that is necessary for growth, for human growth.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we're caught up in the cycle of complaints and
Mm-hmm.
blame, being more and more object referral, and it takes away the experience of self referral, of self care, self reflection, of introspection. So practicing gratitude is a great sublime state of, of attitude, and it's so simple. We could journal it, we could think about it at a particular time of the day. And everybody needs to do this, particularly in our country, but globally. And it's time we start doing that actively. It's a form of mindfulness. You're mindful of what is, because there's always a balance in our lives. No matter of what economic status, there's a balance of experience that have benefited us, have grown us, and there's obviously compared to what has challenged us. So seeing all experiences, if it's a challenge, it's an opportunity to grow.
I agree.
And the more we develop mindfulness, the more we would become a silent witness to what is happening in front of us. The more we will find meaning and purpose of every event that is outside of us, including what we are going through in this country.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, if we are not a silent witness, we don't step back and look at the bigger picture or the whole picture of events, we're going to become reactive.
Yeah.
We're going to go into sympathetic overdrive.
Yeah.
We're going to be releasing all the stress chemicals of
Right.
cortisol,
Sabotages our
adrenaline.
health. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the start of making yourself very sick eventually, because that causes a whole host of inflammatory responses in the body mind. And we start suffering from chronic inflammation. And we start experiencing this low grade, what we call free floating anxiety, which is the result of a chronic inflamed mind. And we're not even aware of this anxiety.
Right. Yeah.
I've been seeing so many young school-going kids who come to me and they're just feeling anxious they have no idea why. And these practices are necessary even at that age.
I agree.
So we need to be aware of our thoughts, how we react, how we blame in a dialogue of blame, of judgment. Simply put, if you are judging and you are objecting to things outside you, you have zero gratitude. You want to get rid of your judgment, which just makes you feel more sick and ill. If you pay attention to the react, every thought has a reaction in the physical body. And the thought of grievance and complaint and judgment, if you really listen to your physical body, you will feel quite sick. If you want to get rid of your grievances, start noting and paying attention to what you could be grateful for in your lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, some practical things just for our listeners, because we have a lot of families that are listening, and you mentioned, practicing it with our children from a young age. We, in our family, we try to sit down for a meal. Doesn't always happen. We are not the perfect, like that suburban lifestyle. We try to just get by sometimes. But as much as we can, we try to sit down and then we ask our kids, what are you grateful for today? Or what was the best part of your day today? And getting them to think about that from a young age. And then I've also recently, in just working with my team and the coaches and everything that they've been experiencing, and just helping them to process it as well. Just telling everyone that when you go to bed, make your last thoughts before you go to sleep your gratitude. Because if we're looking at our phone at the headlines, and if we're looking at negativity before we go to bed, our sleep is interrupted, and we're quite anxious sleeping. But to take that last thought of gratitude to actually relax and go into your sleep peacefully, it makes a massive difference, and it gives us really quality sleep as a result, versus going to bed with anxious thoughts. Yeah. So actually, I don't want to miss the opportunity for us to talk a little bit about this amazing product that you're here to tell us a little bit more about. So Really Calm, with the natural calming ingredient, L-theanine, and I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about that. What is L-theanine? And how can Really Calm be used to assist in calming us and helping us to be a little bit more mindful and calming down some of those anxious
Sure. So it's the need of the hour, and congratulations to Cipla with the product called Really Calm. The ingredient in that product is L-theanine, which is an amino acid. It's actually a derivative that's found in tea, black tea and green tea. It has for me, from the research, what was quite great to see it, I call it the meditative chemical. And it really is, because it allows one, besides calming one, it allows one to center, to have focus, and to be mindful. And it really pushes us onto the road of mindfulness and meditation. From the research, the little research that I've seen, it induces good quality sleep. So it induces delta wave sleep, which is the part of sleep that clears away physical toxins. So a typical example is the amyloid deposits in Alzheimer's, and deep sleep has that effect of clearing away. Such is the importance of sleep.
That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it has a relaxation response, but doesn't sedate. It promotes deep sleep, so without sedation. And it's known to increase serotonin and dopamine. Of course, the antidepressant, and serotonin is just the feeling of well-being. So it regulates our emotions, it improves our concentration and alertness. and thereby improves our energy levels the following day. And that, of course, improves our cognitive skills. But L-theanine has been researched to improve cognitive skills. So we quite become sharp, we become restfully alert. A lovely term in meditation, meditative science, is the experience of restful alertness, where an L-theanine really calm has that effect. And once we are restfully alert, we are more awake than usual and we do less and accomplish more. Minimum effort with maximum effect.
Oh, wow.
That's a lovely place to be in. And really calm has that effect. It reduces the excitatory brain chemicals of cortisol and adrenaline. It does reduce that.
Yeah.
And it makes us a more creative because we're more focused. When we are more focused and mindful and experiencing mindfulness, we become more creative
Absolutely.
and quieter and not so reactive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, of course, those are the benefits. It's known to be good in attention deficit disorders. It improves sleep quality in ADHD in kids.
Which is
And
a very common
yeah,
problem as well. So that's good.
absolutely. So it does alleviate anxiety. It's an anxiolytic. Um, and it has its effect on heart rate. It improves heart rate variability. So if you exercise and your heart rate goes up to 140, and then you stop exercising, it comes down beautifully to normal, to
Good,
baseline very quickly.
healthy.
So it improves that variability, it stabilizes blood pressure, and it's great for memory, learning, focus, and all the cognitive skills, attention span. And apparently, with caffeine, it improves cognitive skills. So if you're enjoying coffee, and coffee has amazing benefits, by the way.
I'm watching those clients because they're capped at how much caffeine they're allowed to have.
Well, coffee, there's a new science in coffee and research, and coffee is one of those, believe it or not, anti-inflammatory in nature.
Right.
And
Moderation.
with really calm, it does improve processing ability and cognitive skills. And once you sleep deeply, the effect is it improves weight control.
Okay.
Because during sleep, where there are two chemicals or hormones, leptin and ghrelin, which control our satiety levels and our hunger levels.
Okay.
And once they are in abundance, due to deep sleep, you have better weight control. So indirectly, really calm improves weight control. Of course, with lots of other measures like
Yes.
calorie intake.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I can say about really calm. Lovely product and well done to Sipla.
Awesome. Thank you so much for introducing that as well. Um, and guys, we've been saying if you have questions, pop it down in the comments. So if there's any questions that you have, Dee, you can pop that on for us and we'll ask the doctor here. If there's any questions that we're missing, I'll go through the comments as well, and and we'll connect you with someone or get you the answers as well. But yeah, I think for the most part, we've talked about so many different aspects of mindfulness and how it affects our health. And any closing thoughts from your side while we wait for some comments?
It is the practice that needs to be implemented now.
Yeah.
COVID has taught us the blessings of COVID is there that we have to follow a two-way parallel path of individual introspection, individual self-care, and at the same time we need to get in groups of like-minded people. And Jeff is a great example of that.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
And that has to run in parallel to overcome this pandemic or the effect of the pandemic. I always tell my patients, COVID is not the problem. It's our reactivity towards the virus
Right.
psychologically, emotionally, as well as physiologically. When there's an overreaction, we become inflamed, the lungs become inflamed. But
Mm.
if we follow the path of self-care in a holistic way, physical well-being, emotional well-being, psychological well-being, environmental well-being, national well-being, global well-being, as well as get together in groups, communities, coming together, talking, discussing.
Mm.
That's a success to overcome any pandemic.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And Charnay has a question there. How long does it take before the effects are felt with really calm?
Depending on the patient or the client, um, the doses all depend on. One should start with the smallest dose and then graduate to what really helps you. So anything from 100 milligrams to 400 milligrams daily. So titrate and try and work out what really works for you. Everything depends on the individual constitution, individual digestion, digestive capacity, etc. So starting with a small dose and graduating to what works for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can Dr. Vassen suggest any breathing techniques or tips to help still the mind? Ooh, I think we're going to run out of time for that one, but um, do you have a resource that you can point them to?
Simple measured breathing, as I said, every so often, every hour, do it for 60 seconds.
Mm.
5 seconds in breath, 5 seconds out breath. Regulate breath, slow down breath, prolong breath.
Mm.
Erect spine, sit upright in the
Yeah.
chair, rest your
Like
back,
your seat position.
and close the eyes, all attention at the nostrils, and just start breathing.
Mm.
Consciously breathe and mindfully
Mm.
breathe, and
Yeah.
the results are guaranteed.
Mm. That's so great. And I think a lot of our devices actually have a relax or a breathing exercise on it as well. And it's phenomenal. It always blows me away when I do it, how bad my breathing actually is. I think I've calmed down. I think I'm breathing deeply. And when I look at it, it's still not properly breathing in deeply. And, or I feel myself, short of breath as I'm breathing in. And you're right. It's the more we practice it, the easier it becomes and the more we're aware of it. So yeah, it's a good practice for us to incorporate.
Keep it simple
Yeah,
and
exactly.
breathe
Because then
consciously.
it's
And
sustainable. Yeah, if you try to overcomplicate it, you're not going to do it. Yeah,
true.
exactly. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we have gone over time and it's been phenomenal, and I could talk to you all night, but I want to respect your time as well. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you everyone for dialing in, for joining us, and for all the questions and comments. Like I said, I will dial in and check it out and comment for you guys and point you in the right direction for answers. But yeah, thank you so much for this, and Sipla for the partnership, and for everyone viewing from the Sipla side as well. We appreciate you guys dialing in. And that is it for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Tash. And thank you, Jeff and Sipla, for the
Absolute
opportunity.
pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.